about setting ourselves up for success, especially when it comes to the clothing that we wear, because ultimately it will affect our performance. Now, if you remember in our last video on casualty care training, we asked the question, are we doing casualty care training right? And one of the things we found is we can easily be preoccupied by our clothing, by our equipment, because it's not performing the way that we want it to, and because we're just not comfortable in what we're wearing. So basically, I wanted to talk to you about my choices in terms of clothing and what I wear when I'm in the classroom, so when I'm talking about casualty care, and also when I'm outside doing the casualty care simulation. Now, I think this is just as applicable for instructors as well as students, because if you can go to your casualty care classes, you're dressed right, and you've got things that you wear that you're going to be comfortable in, and you're not worried about getting loads of fake blood on you, then obviously that's going to be a good thing, because you can concentrate on the learning aspect, and that's exactly what we want. And in the same respect, when you're out in the field and you're doing it for real, again, if you've tested those things during training, you're going to know what works for you. So, in terms of what works for me, well, as you can see, I'm wearing some resemblance of a uniform at this moment in time, and predominantly my colours are red and they are black. Now, there's reasoning behind these colours in terms of being an instructor. The red helps to identify myself as an instructor to my students. So if I'm interacting with them as, let's say, a team leader, or maybe I'm leading a scenario, or as an instructor, and they want to get my attention, they can quickly identify who I am, and then obviously we can take it from there. What I was also looking for was a crossover between the kind of military, tactical law enforcement to civilian type medicine. Now actually, this is a shirt that I wear when I'm doing my air ambulance work, and it's a really great shirt in terms of functionality, but we'll talk about that in a little while. First of all, I want to start down there, because you guys, if you're going to be on your feet all day, especially if you're instructors, you know you're going to get achy feet. But it's not just about standing in a classroom. You may need to go outside, you're going to be kneeling down, and you're going to need to be moving around, so you're going to want something that's going to work for you. Most certainly for myself, I've chosen the Lower Zephyr GTX boot. Guys, I'm not here to sell any particular manufacturer or style of boot, but I'm just going to recommend what I feel works for me. These boots, arguably the best ones I've ever had. They are so comfortable and really good for standing up in all day. They're waterproof, and they come in many colours. But this colour, I guarantee you, is not good when it comes to casualty care training. The reason being is because it is inevitable that we're going to get covered in this stuff, and this is our fake blood. Now, I want to wear these after training, especially when I'm out and about doing the things that I do. So of course, if you can imagine going to the supermarket, to the shops, and people see red stuff splashed all over your boots, they're going to wonder where you're actually working or what you've actually been up to. In this case, for casualty care training, I would choose a darker style of GTX boot. In this case, I've got the brown ones. But just to highlight on this particular boot as well, they've got toe protectors, and guys, these make a really big difference when it comes to your boots lasting. Now, I did say they were waterproof as well, but you've got good heel protection, you've got good toe protection, and this is what you're looking for in any pair of boots that you choose. Now, down here, I've actually got a pair of Army Surplus. Nothing wrong with these. These are a great, comfortable boot, especially good when I'm doing my winter training. They're waterproof and they're high leg, which is really great if we're moving around in snow. But one thing I will point out, probably going to be difficult for you guys to see from there, but the toes are really worn out here. And this will break down a boot really quickly, and they're not going to last as long as you would like. So remember functionality. If you're going to be kneeling down, you're going to be dragging your toes, etc. Get a pair of boots that are not going to wear through and are going to last. Trousers. The all-important trousers obviously need to stay up. They need to be comfortable, and you need to be moving around in these, of course, and you want plenty of stowage space for putting all of your bits and bobs. Now there's certain bits of kit that we want to carry and keep with us when it comes to doing our training and when it comes to working, but you want a pair of trousers that are going to be able to accommodate that. What I've got is my UF Pro Striker XT pants. These are the Gen 2 version. These are arguably, again, the most comfortable and functional pants or trousers that I've got. I've got several pairs, but these ones just seem to tick all of the boxes. And I've been through a lot of trousers, including just using the army issue stuff. It's great, but it doesn't have those little extras that make a difference for me when it comes to working. For me, the all-important knee pads. Now, as I said, we're going to spend a lot of time on our knees, and if we are going to be on our knees, then we need to make sure that we are comfortable, and we can also get access to the things that we need that we might stow in pockets, etc. Now, the nice thing about these is not only do they come with a built-in knee pad or padding, there are additional pockets here, and actually 2 layers for pockets, where I've got an additional foam layer, and then you can put the hard type pads in if you're going to be doing kind of more extreme work, depending on the environment. And the nice thing about these trousers is, like I just said, you can dress them up, dress them down, depending on your op-tempo. I talked to you about pockets. So for me, there's a couple of essential items that I want to carry when I'm doing my training. And again, these are a few tips in terms of storage and base layers. I carry a torch. Now, I'm not going to talk about torches, that's a lesson for another day, but suffice to say, I can keep a torch, and I don't have to have it on the outside of the trousers. I can keep it in a little storage pocket that's inside these trousers, so I'm not having to hunt around the pocket. That means it's ready there for me to use. When I kneel down, it's not going to drop out, it's not going to fall out. If I had to crawl to a patient, I'm not going to lose an essential tool when it comes to casualty assessment. Of course, another thing you might want to carry is a pair of scissors. In the pocket on the opposite side, I've got my good old Raptor scissors. Again, something to talk about in another video. But again, I've got them stored in a little micro pocket here, which means they're retained and they're not going to fall out. Also on this side, I've got a second pocket, and I keep nitrile gloves in here. By the way, these are nitrile gloves that I know fit me, they are the proper size. And obviously with COVID and everything going on, I've got pocket masks as well. So this is really important. So a couple of little essential items that I carry with me on a daily basis that set me up for success when it comes to my performance. Enough about the trousers. Obviously I've got a belt that's going to keep those trousers up. Just of note, these trousers are high-waisted, which is really good when it comes to bending down and your shirt not riding up. So then, it's important that when you do choose a shirt, that you can tuck it in and it stays tucked in. There is nothing worse, especially when you're wearing body armour, that causes a shirt to rise up, and when you bend over, you've got that kind of cold rush of air that's going up your back. That's really not a good thing. If you're getting cold, then potentially you could get muscle stiffness and soreness, and that increases the risk of injury. Obviously, you're going to need to choose fabrics that perform, especially when it comes to wicking sweat away from the skin and keeping you dry. And of course, clothing that is going to dry out quickly if it becomes wet. Now that's important if we've been outside, done our scenario-based training, and then we're moving back into our classroom after a short break. We don't want to waste too much time dressing up, dressing down, putting on different styles of uniform. This particular shirt comes from a company called Rig Equipment UK, and like I said, it's actually designed for air ambulance wear. It's actually Nomex, and it's ripstop as well, so it's really good in terms of performance. And as you've already seen, I've got the hard elbow pads, which again are really important if I have to spend any time on the ground resting on my elbows. Now imagine if I was going to do C-spine stabilisation to help keep a casualty stable. It's really important that I don't fidget because I don't want to move the patient's head. In which case, those knee pads, those elbow pads are going to make a big difference. Now the same as the trousers, there is plenty of room for me to move around. And I can make adjustments to the clothing to cool myself or to help keep wind, etc. out. I've got all of the pockets that I need, and I've got my identifier flashes here. So whilst it's a civilian style shirt, it's very similar to the under body armour combat shirt that you'll see guys wearing. So, uniform, neutral colours, not worried about getting blood, etc. splashed on it. But what if you come to the class, or what if I want to encourage you to remove clothing, regardless of what that clothing is, then I'm going to issue you with equipment. Like I said, having undergarments. Now, military issue t-shirt. Not worried if this gets soaked in blood. If it does, no worries, we're going to throw it in the washing machine. If it gets cut with my Raptor scissors, that's fine. We'll use it for rags and cleaning up after we've done simulation training. Trousers. Now, if you look up close, you can probably see these particular ones have had some blood staining on, and this is how they end up going a subtle shade of pink. Yeah, the stuff does wash off, but it does take time. And again, if you're making a significant investment in clothing, then you don't want to ruin it like this. So this is why we stay away from these light colours. Unfortunately, it will do it to multicam. Now, one of the discussions that we've had with our group of instructors is what's going to keep looking good and what is going to suit us when it comes to casualty care training. Now, if we want to cut clothing off using ex-military surplus uniforms, especially in the Digicam grey, because nobody wants it, it's brilliant, and I highly recommend, especially when you're doing your simulation training, especially if you're going to be acting as a patient, get this stuff to use. It's really good, and it's pretty cheap as well, extremely functional, and you can put it in the wash. So I hope that's helped when it comes to clothing. Oh, did I forget? I've actually got a pen here tucked away. Something else you might want to keep with you, along with your torch, along with your scissors, along with your gloves. These are basic things that I need to be able to keep me going when I'm doing my instructing and when I'm working on the front line as a paramedic. So, I hope this video helps. I hope it helps to set you up for success. Well, and I'm looking forward to the next one when we talk a little bit more